Hello and welcome to week 7. As we look at the week at a glance, you'll note that we have reading assignments this week. We have in our review section the project number 2 handout, some information about writing literature reviews, and a sample project number 2, and the project number 2 rough draft, which will be due at a later date than normal because we're coming up on a short break. Okay, so our reading assignment for week 7, you'll be able to scroll through and notice that there's several of these screenshots with the boxed reading assignments. For example, in this first one, argumentative thesis, so you'll read all of those sections. So you'll want to read through the sections that are marked in those red boxes, and you've always have the prezzies that you can work through once you're done with your reading to kind of capture those main points. And then we are going to start working on project number 2. Project number 2 is building an academic argument. So you're really thinking about establishing your argument. A lot of times when we get first into the rhetorical analysis, most students would like to jump right to this second project where they actually begin to build out their argument. This first part of your argument is called a literature review, and what you want to remember is that a literature review considers previous investigations of your topic and it establishes the conversation surrounding it. So you're kind of giving the background of this topic according to what some of the experts have said. And in your case, because you're using the sources from Annotated Bibliography 1 and 2, you are establishing the conversation that these 4 scholarly sources provide. So your introduction will form the argument you intend to prove. The body paragraphs will show through previous research that your argument is necessary. It kind of gives you a purpose for this argument, and hopefully you'll also be establishing your audience. You can include more than 4 sources, whether they're scholarly or popular, if you wish to do so. Your paper needs to be at least 3 to 5 pages long. It'll follow APA format, I apologize, and you'll want to be sure to include both in-text citations and a references page. I encourage you, only because we're going to add on to project number 2 to form project number 3, that you get into the habit of including the subtitles in order to clarify the content of each section. The subtitles, which are level 2 headings, are left aligned and bold, but I also have linked the heading and seriation page in the Purdue OWL so that you can see what these look like. And you can also see them in the sample project number 2, which leads me to your review. In your review section this time, you're going to be reading about those literature reviews, and those will show in many cases, how to organize them, or you have seen how to organize them in the journal articles that you've read already. So you've seen where these headings and subheadings, level 1, level 2, level 3 headings have come into play, but the content of the literature review is what's explained in this particular handout. And you'll want to remember that a literature review discusses that published information, what's already been said about a particular subject area. So you'll want to think about how it's different than an academic research paper. And ultimately you kind of use it as a foundation for what is going to include eventually some primary research that you're going to do about your topic too, research that you're going to conduct. Just like the articles that you've been reading, many of them include a study. You'll be conducting a small study of your own. So just read through this, think about what that literature review is comprised of, and that is what you're going to build into project number 2. You do have an example as well. You can read through this example, look at how it's set up, both within the APA formatting, conventions, but also what the content of it looks like, and you can use that as a model. And then you'll have that project number 2 rough draft due. And please keep in mind that, again, due to a short break, you'll want to kind of pay attention to the due dates because they don't follow that conventional end of week due date for the next couple of weeks. If you have questions as you begin to do any of this work over the course of the week, don't hesitate to reach out, and I'm looking forward to your literature reviews. I want to see what the research has said about your topics.